Today on Grippo's Garage, we're going to see if we can finally get this red rig going. I think there's something wrong with the starter motor. Damn it. Welcome back to the channel. As you just saw, we are trying to get our red rig finally running. I found a day where I had nothing else planned, so I finally put in the time and the effort. What have we done? We've changed the oil, new air filter, new fuel filter, new oil filter. We've primed the fuel pumps, we've primed the fuel system so the surge tank's full, and then I've used the inline pump to bleed the fuel system. The cooling system has been fixed. There was a couple of leaks on it, so I've put new intake manifold gasket on it, fixed a couple of leaks there. What else was there? I think that was everything that I had to sort out. And then, as you just saw, we went to start it, and the starter motor doesn't want to play the game, so I'll rip that out and give it a test on the bench and see if it's working or not. If not, new starter motor. If it is working, then I guess we are going to have to diagnose further what's wrong. So yeah, good news, starter motor's all good. I pulled it out, I bench tested it, no issues with it. Bad news, I fixed the external coolant leak in the engine. However, that has created an internal leak for the cooling system. It appears I've got coolant in number 3 cylinder, so that intake manifold has to come back off again. I have to seal it up again. I'll probably have to get another gasket because this one's going to rip. A couple other things I've been having issues with is the fuel pump. It doesn't get power when the accessories are on, so I've got to look into it. Hopefully it's just a relay issue. And another thing I had to play around with is the what do you call it, your park neutral switch, which is normally on your automatic transmission. So if you're not aware, I pulled a full harness out of a TRTS Magna to do this conversion. That made all the lights, new wiring and everything, because everything else was shot, had been chewed by rats, so I just replaced everything. So now I've got to deal with that park neutral switch as well. But other than that, I've just taken the spark plugs out, so I'm just about to crank it over, see how much coolant is actually in that number 3 cylinder, and I'm going to do some wiring diagnosing. Hopefully there's not much to it before this thing can start, so let's go have a look. Rightio, spark plugs are pulled out, leads are pulled out. Let's see how much shit throws out of number 3 here. Well, I'm glad that wasn't much, because I was genuinely worried I'd hydraulically locked that engine up and seized it. However, seems to be cranking good now. So a couple other things I've got to check is fuel pump relay, and I guess I've got to pull that intake manifold off again and fix that problem. So still a bit of work ahead. However, it's cranking, the engine's cranking, it's complete. So let's keep getting on. So it's that park neutral switch, I think they call it, normally on your automatic transmission. As you go from park to neutral to reverse, this rotates, connects wires and stops you from starting. So I'm hoping I can find a wiring diagram and actually just bypass this altogether so it thinks it's in park all the time. So that's that. Put some plugs back in, put some leads back in, take the manifold off again, seal it up, and probably work my way through these relays and see which one is a starter motor relay. Other than that, I've gone through, I put a heap of extra grounds on that I'd missed in the wiring harness. So there was a heap in the cab, so a couple of the lights weren't working, rear lights weren't working, the front lights were working, which is good. And I'm hoping that will also solve my fuel pump relay issues. So let's go have a look. Got the lift pump and the inline fuel pump for the fuel rails just jimmy rigged up, hopefully enough to get them going. Starting to actually look like something under here, finally. Complete, no leaks yet. Hopefully we can start this thing. Rightio, day 2, diagnosing why this thing won't start. I've worked out that the ECU didn't have a second ignition signal wire that I found through some forum. So I've just done up a Brumby wire neutral So wish me luck. No bingo. I guess the next thing is start testing sensors. Yeah. It's a real bummer. Really thought this was gonna work. Another thing I'm a bit confused about is I've read both that the fuel pumps should have 12 volts with the ignition key on, and I've also read that the fuel pumps only come on when the engine is cranking. So still not 100% sure if that's right either. So, but the fuel pumps are coming on when it's cranking. They don't have 12 volts when the ignition's on. So what else is there? I have spark. I checked that I had spark. Fuel. I've worked out a way around the park neutral inhibitor switch because it's an automatic wiring harness. What else is there? I haven't checked timing. However, the other day when I had the engine cover off, the other day when I had the rocker cover off, I timed the distributor then. It was 1/2 out, so fingers crossed it's right, but again I haven't had a timing light on it yet because it's hard to start the car here with the timing light over there. So yeah, anyway, it's a bit of a bummer. Back to the drawing board. Alright, it's a new day. We are still on the red rocket trying to get this thing going. So I ran out of time last week, had to go back to work. However, what I did do is post on a couple of the 4G54 pages, Starion pages, Mighty Max pages, stuff like that, and I just put the question out there, I've got XYZ, can anyone else recommend anything why this thing's not starting? So most of the comments went back to fuel related issues. Everyone, make sure you've got fuel at your injectors, make sure you've got pressure at your injectors, make sure that you have fuel getting to your rail, make sure that your pumps are working correctly. I double checked those pumps. It wasn't clear, so I asked the question about the pumps, whether they should be turned, whether they should just be getting power when the ignition's on, or should they just be getting power when you're cranking the engine, or should they have power with just the ignition on so they can prime the system? And again, I didn't really get a clear answer, so I'm going to stick to they should only be getting power when the engine's cranking, because I'm using the Magna harness, so I can't really see how that would have changed anything. So but a lot of people said check your fuel system, make sure you're getting fuel. It sounds like a fuel issue, and I appreciate everyone that commented on that post, because I must have had 50 or 60 comments on that post, giving me things to check. Make sure your harnesses are clean, make sure your connectors are clean, make sure your fuses are good, relays are good, make sure you're getting power here, make sure you're getting power there. So I genuinely appreciate everyone for commenting on that post. It gave me time to think. And what I come back with is the other day after night shift, come back, pulled the hose off the fuel rail and power at the pump, and I wasn't getting fuel at the rails. So I double checked, and what actually happened was I had the plumbing all stuffed up for the fuel system. So I had a hose going from the tank to a lift pump to a surge tank to my main pump to your rail. However, it wasn't going to the rail, it was returning back to tank, which is why I wasn't getting fuel at the rails. So however, while I was there, what I did was I eliminated the lift pump. So all I've got now is I've set up a little jimmy rigged up like a external fuel tank, just using a jerry can to my main fuel pump. I've plumbed it incorrectly. It's now going to the rail. I now have fuel at the rails. And then the last time I tried to crank it, I actually fried my jump starter. So what I had to do first thing this morning, I went out, got a battery, a couple other accessories, put everything back together, and let's go have a look where it's at. Everything's back together again. Air intake's still loose, however everything is back together. Rails back on, hoses are back on, injectors are back in. Dizzy, I double checked that Dizzy 2 or 3 times. I must have been running the Dizzy cap from the L200 distributor, not the Magna distributor, so I changed them over. I also questioned myself on the timing because I had another harmonic balancer lying around, and I thought maybe that was the one for the L200, which is why timing was out. So I put it on, and then going through old photos, I realized that the one that I had put on was from the Magna, so I do have the right harmonic balancer on now, so everything's timed correctly. I have spark, I have fuel getting to the rail. I just have to finish powering, I just have to finish plumbing in the fuel pumps, the fuel pump, and then connect a battery, and I'm hoping this thing starts. So, but the other day I had trees cutting down, so I couldn't really film anything. So what I did was old toolbox lying around, wasn't using it, put it in the back, fit perfectly to hide fuel system instead of it just being out in the open, and I'll chuck a battery on that side as well, so just keep everything out of the environment. So as you can see, just the whole, I plumb some hoses back in, power up my fuel pump, and put a battery in this thing, and hopefully we're going today. So I've got a good feeling. I got a good feeling about this, so let's get it going. Rightio, let's see what we got. Whole lot of nothing. Damn it. Rightio, back to the drawing board. I'll make sure I've plugged all these harnesses in because I've had a lot of wiring and everything pulled apart. I'll make sure my earths are still ground. I'll make sure I've still got spark after playing with that distributor a dozen times. And then we'll give this another go. I tell you what, it's warming up now. It is getting sticky. We meant to have a storm last night, but it did not happen, so now we're just copping the full brunt of humidity today. As soon as I turned the camera off, it actually spluttered a little bit. We'll have to start. Something's happening now. Something's happening now. Woohoo! Not running, just coughing and spluttering, which means I guess it's getting fuel and spark to a degree. I'm not going to turn the camera off just in case it wants to start next time. Oh, it's getting fuel. Oh, nearly. Oh. Might give the battery a break. I'm feeling pretty confident about this though. That's good that it's coughing and spluttering. So I'll put this battery on charge, get it out of the heat, and we'll come back to see what's going on. Alright, it's hot. I'm going to give this thing one more shot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put power to the fuel pump constantly, so it's just going to keep running that circuit. I've then got it draining back into the fuel tank, so I'm just going to have the fuel pump running constantly, crank it over a couple of times, see if starts at all, see if it wants to idle at all. And that'll be it today, because it is too hot and I am due back at work tomorrow morning. So one last shot before it sits here for another week. So let's go have a go. Alright, just got a wire straight from the battery into your fuel pump test point. What that's going to do is just supply constant power to the fuel pump, whether you've got the ignition on, off, cranking, whatever. So that'll just eliminate the fuel issue if it starts and cranks and whatnot. If it cranks and runs, then there might be issues elsewhere. So we'll give this one last go. I said it is too hot it is, so it'll be quick. I've got to connect the battery. As soon as I connect the battery, fuel pump's coming on, then I'll jump in the seat and give it a fire. So let's go. Battery's on, fuel pump's on. Get the fuel pump running. Alright, let's go. Come on. One last shot. Nothing. That's it for today. One last shot. I forgot I had the distributor loose, so that's not going to help nothing at all. So it's going to be quick. Straight in, fuel pump running. Alright, timing must be out. That's awesome. It runs. I know it runs now. Sweet. I might just set that fuel pump on a different relay. Hell yeah. Alrighty, distributor adjusted, one tooth anti-clockwise. Battery ready to go. We still have our jump lead on our fuel pump. As soon as I connect this battery, that fuel pump's going to get power, and I'm hoping this thing just turns over and runs. So hopefully it doesn't make a liar out of me. Ready? Go. Fuel pump running. Come on. I think I have an earthing issue. Sometimes it doesn't start. Sometimes it doesn't turn over. Oh shit. Oh no. I've got to put my fuel hose back in the bloody tank. That's not good at all. Bugger. It'll dry it. Let's try again. Let's try again, shall we? Maybe I rotated the dizzy the wrong way. I think I turned the dizzy the wrong way. So now that I've turned it the right way, let's try again. Dizzy's back in, plugged in, leads are in, battery is connected, fuel pump's running, and please don't make a liar out of me. Please don't make a liar out of me. Go. definitely an earthing problem with it. See you, babe. We are running. Yeah, boy. All right. Hell yeah, that's what I wanted to see. That's awesome. I think maybe the dizzy's still out of tooth, or it needs adjustment with the timing light. Can't really do that one-handed. One thing I do want to test is if I disconnect our fuel pump wire and get it out of the way so it doesn't short on anything, and connect the battery up. Let's see if it starts now without the aftermarket, without the fuel pump test wire connected. Let's see. What's the worst that happens? Hell yeah. That is awesome. That is so good. Couple years in the making for this. Alright, I'm going to pull that battery out and put the bonnet down before it slams. Alright, there it is. I have successfully done an EFI conversion on a 4G54. It has taken a long time. I'm going to say it's taken me 3 years to do this conversion. However, with it running now, that is awesome. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of work to get it actually on the road, roadworthy, registered and drivable. However, getting the engine running was at the top of my list. So now that we're there, there's still a lot to clean up. The engine, I'm not sure what's going to happen with it. I guess we'll wait and see what comes in the future. But that's it for now. The engine runs, the conversion's done. I'm so happy with that. Don't forget, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, Griffo's Garage. To my existing subscribers, you know, I appreciate each and every one of you. If you're new to the channel, thanks for dropping by. Thanks for sticking around for this long, because I know it's probably going to be a long video. And until next time, I'll see you guys then. So thanks so much for sticking around. My YouTube channel, I think we're sitting around 485 subscribers, and my goal is to get that to 500 before the end of the year. I know it doesn't seem like much, however, it is a lot from where I started. So if you can hit that like button, if you can hit that subscribe button, if you can comment below what you want to see done with this shoot, if you want to comment below any questions you have, because I'm hoping I can answer them now that I've done this conversion. Anyway, until next time, guys, thanks for dropping by. I got a shed to clean up. Look at this. Anyway, that's my day. So thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye.